Guys, here we have the world famous, the one and only 1.8 pound Chihuahua, Little Moose, and she wants to introduce you to an item that we have from Agema Optics. It is the knob assembly for lens cover, and it allows you to easily grasp your lens cover to pull it off your telescope. We're going to take a look at it, and I'm going to show you how I installed it to make sure that everything was located properly. So, Little Moose, got anything to say for the audience today? She's a little sleepy. So a little background on how I came to find out about these knobs is Jeff Blasey, who last year did a test of my 175 f8 astrophysics refractor. Got a hold of me a few months back and said, hey, got a guy that just bought a 150 millimeter refractor from Agema Optics, wanted it tested, and would you be interested in coming down and videoing? And I said, well, now if it's got a lens on one end, a focuser assembly on the other, joined with a tube, I'm in. And then when we did that review is when I saw what Agema supplied for their lens cover, and I said, I've got to have that. So I contacted Agema Optics, spoke to Alana, and she was the person that throughout the process that took care of everything for me, and told her what I wanted. I ordered 8 of these. They were $32 each plus shipping, and went from there. Agema's contact number is 720-939-1300. And they're out of Wheat Ridge, Colorado. So what I want to do, guys, is show you what I did to locate and drill the holes, because you don't want to make any mistakes. You know, you may not be able, like in this case, they don't make the scope anymore. Chances of having to get another one are probably 0 to none. So you want to be very careful in locating the holes, getting it centered, and the main reason is there are now 3 holes. You don't have just one center hole. So that somewhat complicates things. So let me show you what I did. I'm going to take this back off. I'm going to take this off of this lens, and then we're going to go from there. Now, before I go too far, I should show you, I was very impressed and happy with how these were sent. All 8 were sent separately like this, and it's a very heavy bag, and then there were layers in the box separating like 3, then 3, so that way these weren't in shipment just rubbing against each other. So very happy with the shipping. I always look towards that with how does the supplier ship things? What is their attention to detail? So when you get this, it comes with, well, they're pre-assembled, but it'll come with these stainless steel socket head cap screws, or flathead countersunk, and they're 1/4 inch long. And you've got this nice backing plate that goes on the inside of your lens cover. And then obviously you have the knob, which goes on the outside of your lens cover. Now, one of the things you want to be mindful of and check before you order this, because I don't know how all manufacturers, you want to make sure that this backing plate, which is 116 thousandths thick, I don't know how close your lens cover is going to be to the actual lens element of your telescope. So you want to make sure that you check that to make sure then that when this is installed, that this backing plate will not hit your objective lens. And an easy way to check that is to take a straight edge, put it across your lens cell, and make sure that you have at least that, if and hopefully more, than that distance, which you should, but you never know, like I said, with manufacturer, how close that cover is going to be to the objective lens of your telescope. And if you've got plenty of distance, you're good to go. And since I've got the micrometers out, the thickness of that knob is approximately 906 thousandths. Alright, so you've got the knobs, you've got your lens cover, and you're now ready to drill and install the knob. Question being, how do you transfer these accurately, because you don't want to make any mistakes. I started out my career decades ago as a carpenter, and one thing I learned the hard way was you measure twice, cut once. So after mulling it over, giving it some thought, there's various different techniques that I could have done to do this, to accomplish this. But what I chose to do was to make this simple jig so that each one of these was exactly and precisely located on that bolt circle. So again, I contacted Lana, said, hey, is it possible to get this? And she sent me this print, which shows that the bolt circle, these three, and the bolt circle is the diameter that the center line of each one of those circles on. You could have 2, you could have 3, 10, whatever. That's considered a bolt circle, and the center diameter is 21.5 millimeters. And each hole is 3.2 millimeters with 3 places, which is essentially 1/8 of an inch. So now with that information, I went ahead and had this made. I had a machine shop do it. They could input it into their, I could have tried screwing around locating it, but I wanted it done precisely. Again, you're working with telescope equipment. Obviously, you would check this ahead of time before you made holes, but so I had a machine shop do this. It was, it was relatively cheap. Very happy I did it. Now you're wondering, why is there a middle hole? So the middle hole, I've got a red paint marker on, and I've got blue on the outside, which are the holes I want to drill. The reason I've got that center hole, I'll show you why I've got that. And I put the red on there so that I do not drill that. That just is a, lets me know, hey, don't drill it. The blue holes get drilled, the red doesn't. And I'll show you why I've got that. Now this stock is 3/8 of an inch thick, 2 inches wide, and I just cut it 12 inches. Now I bought this, I think it was a 3 or 4 foot piece from Lowe's. And so, and I just used my chop saw and cut it down. So when I gave this to the machine shop, they had everything they needed. They had the stock. All they had to do was put a hole in the center and the bolt circle around that center. Now you may be asking, do you need something that thick? Well, let me show you why I wanted something that thick for the jig. So the reason is I wanted to make sure that when I drill these holes with an 1/8 inch drill bit, that I had enough thickness to where it would act as a guide to get me in nice and straight and not be cockeyed. If this is too thin, then if it was just 1/8 of an inch, you know, you could be angled. But with this being 3/8 of an inch, gives you a much better possibility of going into your stock square, perpendicular into your stock when you're drilling it. The next thing to think about is when you're laying out for the center to locate the bolt circle within the center of your lens cover. And one of the things, I could have used this center square from Stanley, and I've got other kinds from Starrett, different more precise ones. This would work just fine, no issues. I've had it for like 100 years. So, but then as I looked at the lens cover, I actually did something different. So this is showing it really well. You see how I catch the highlights? You'll notice that it comes into a point right here. So, and let me turn it to see it. Now, you can see these lines, these machining lines. And so what happens is, as the mill's coming in and the finishing tool's coming in, it's going to come in like that, go to the center, and now it's finished. And so you've got a natural center point right there. So instead of making markings, I thought, let me just use that center point that has been machined. No matter how you do this, whether using the center finder or you're going to do what I did, you want to mask this off. Okay? And one of the main reasons is when you're putting this heavy piece of metal on there, I was setting it on now, but when I'm getting it located, moving it around and clamping it down, I don't want to scratch this. So, but here's what I did. I basically took this wide tape and let me see, let me get this. Okay, I'm going to do, okay, I've got that. Let me put one more on, one more piece so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Alright, so if you look there, what I've done is I've taken this tape, got one this way, one that way, and I'm going to put another one going this way, another one that way, and what it did is it precisely got me to that center point. As you can see there, that tape basically put me, so I've got 4 sides, which will give me a small square to the center of this lens cap. And now, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. The reason for that hole, and it's a 1/8 inch hole, is so that whether I was going to use a center thing that I showed you, center square, whatever it is, once you get your center, I need to make sure that I have this located. So that hole allows me to hold this down and look through here, sight through that center hole, and then with the aid of a light, shine it there, and once I see that, I know that we are located precisely in the center of the lens cover. Now it's just a simple matter of, like I said, I'm going to have this masked off so I don't do any scratching while I'm in the process of clamping it down. And again, you'll clamp it, you'll continually look to make sure that that is still centered properly in your lens cover. Next we have the clamps. Now I got tons of clamps, all kinds of clamps, and I also have some extras that are clean for stuff like this. They're not, you know, scratched up, and you know, I can use it for work that is more of a finished thing like this. And these Tectons work good. And so when I clamp this, the metal jig is going to be on top. This pad is going to be on the metal, so we're not going to do any harm. This swivel pad, when you do this, you want to make sure the pad swivels nice and free. Okay, that it's not damaged. You want it to swivel nice and free. It's going to go on the bottom, but we're going to do something to that pad to make sure, ensure that it does not scratch the bottom of the inside of your lens cover. And for that, we're going to use our friend again, a little narrower masking tape. And so what I basically did is put, don't have to be neat about this, I put a piece on like that, then I put another piece perpendicular, then another piece perpendicular. So basically I had 6 pieces, so I had 6 layers on here. And so now when I go to anchor this and tighten it down, I had no issues. You had plenty of material here. The swivel pad, it moved, did no damage to the inside of that lens cover. Alright guys, so now you've got everything clamped down. You've assured that it's in the center. Again, measured twice, cut once, in this case drill once. Now you're ready to drill those holes in your lens cap. One thing guys, if you're going, when you get your 1/8 inch drill bit, make sure it's sharp. I've got several drill bit sharpeners. Either that, grab a new one. If you're a 220-pound guy and it needs your body weight to drill that hole, you got a problem. So something like this, just make sure you're starting off with a nice sharp drill bit so you get a nice clean job. Okay, so when you drill these holes, one thing's for certain. You're going to bring up a little bit of a burr up on the top side and definitely bring up a burr on the bottom side. Now, how do we handle that? Let me show you what I did. So you could use a tool like this. It's a router burr, and it's got this replaceable little cutting tool, and you can get different configurations. And you would go in here and you go around, but I didn't want to do too much cutting. I wanted to just lightly take the burr off. So I did not use this. So what I decided to do is use this countersink tool. Now, I tried using it by hand. I don't want to put it in a drill. That's way too aggressive. And I thought I would just put it by hand, stick it here, and just kind of rotate it. Well, I had trouble hanging on to this. So I did one better. I had to buy a chuck adapter for an SDS plus hammer drill, and so I bought a couple of them. And so this is one that's been brand new. There's no dirt on it. It's not been used. So I thought, let me use this. And what this allowed is me to grip this. And so when there was that little bit of an edge, now you shouldn't do this. You should always go in one direction with the cutting lip. For something like this being so slow, what I did is I actually would put it over the hole and then go back and forth like this till it got cleaned up. Did the same thing with the underside, and I found this to work great, and it just gave me just a little bit of a chamfer, took that burr off. And then another thing, guys, cleanliness. When I got done, I used shop air. I blew off any residual chips that are going to be on here, looked at everything, then I took isopropyl alcohol, wiped everything down, did another look, blew it off again. You do not want to get any metal shavings on your telescope lens. So just be very careful of that. That should go without saying. Now at this point I need to backtrack just a bit because we're all done, we're ready to go. But one thing I did is when I got these the other day, I took the knob apart assembly, put that into the backing plate, and one thing I found out is these 1/4 inch long were not long enough for the thickness of my lens cover. And obviously Agema supplies what they use for their telescopes. So I called Lana, just wondering if maybe she had some in stock longer that I'd be more than happy to have purchased from her to send to me. And I told her what I measured. I said, let's try 3/8 and 1/2 inch. And again, these are quarters. So I said, let's try 3/8 and 1/2 inch because I don't want to be stuck. When I'm doing a job, I want to make sure I've got what I need. So anyways, she took it upon herself. Excellent job. She actually went to McMaster Car. She ordered the 3/8 and 1/2 inch and had them drop shipped to my house. Charged them to her account, and obviously I reimbursed her. But so excellent customer service. So you want it. That's one thing you're going to want to check, is to make sure that you have available the proper length before you. I didn't anticipate that. I didn't think about that. It's one of those things that you don't foresee, but that may be something then that you can check on your lens cover to make sure that the supplied 1/4 inch long ones will be enough to go through the backing plate and enough meat, enough threads to go into the knob assembly itself. So there's the 3/8, and they're Phillips flathead. Now the ones she ordered were Phillips, which is just fine, works fine. They're not the Allen heads. And these are 3/8 inch stainless steel. But the ones that actually worked were the 1/2 inch. So that's why, like I said, the 1/2 inches in my case works beautiful. And so I'm glad that I ordered both those. And these are so cheap. You get them by the 100. I don't even worry about it. If I never use them again, it won't even bother me. Like I said, I ended up buying 8 of these knobs. So who knows what lengths I'll need. Alright guys, so you're ready. You've measured twice, you drilled once, everything's coming together. Got the proper length bolts. Now we're going to go ahead and put this thing together. Very simple. And if you make your own jig, whether you make one at home, Like I said, I had one done professionally. I could have screwed around. I just didn't think it was worth my time. So either way you do it, obviously, before you would do anything, you would take your jig and just put the bolts in here like this, and just make sure that this plate now with the bolts in it should fit in your jig that you made, and you shouldn't have any problems. That's what I did with mine. I actually did that with mine. I won't be able to do this on camera. Everything's going to fall. But I was able to get the holes. There we go. Was able to get it. So when I did this, I knew that this jig was correct. So that's something, again, you want to make sure that if you make one yourself, and again, I even double checked the machine shop, I knew that this was going to work out beautiful. And one other thing, when Lana ordered these, she's got the Phillips head, which is fine. Now, you want to make sure, always make sure that the bit you use, screwdriver or the bit you use, properly fits so you don't strip that head out. Now, I've got from all kinds of manufacturers, just because I'm a tool fanatic, and if I don't have it, I got to buy it. But you should have a nice precision set of screwdriver tips. And I have a couple nice sets from iFixit, and I highly recommend them. They're excellent tools. And like I said, when you're doing stuff like this, small 440 screws, you want to make sure that you don't strip that Phillips head out on the installation. So now it's just a matter of tightening everything up. So this is a very simple project. Just be very slow. Make sure that all the holes, like I said, once they line up, once you have everything clamped, it should go well. Just take your time, and now you have. And so, in closing, the reason I like this knob is especially when you have larger diameter lens covers. You know, you've got the cover on. There'll be times I'll take the scope out to do some observing. Then I'll put the cover back on. Maybe it didn't do up right away, but I'm going to get up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Lens cover's on the scope. It's all dewy, maybe a little frost. Takes 2 hands to take it off. Can you slip? Will something fall? But with this, you can literally get your hands around that, your fingers. I love this. Again, with larger ones, you don't have the grasp to cover the whole thing. So, and I'm going to put these on my small ones too, but this is beautiful because now you've got something to grip onto. You can pull it off, only requires one hand, and you safely have your objective cover. So, I highly recommend this item from Agema Optics. This may be something you'll want to do to your scope.